Over the 4th of July weekend, the Texas Hill Country experienced catastrophic flooding. More than 160 people are still missing in Kerr County after torrential downpours flooded the Guadalupe River, sweeping camps near the riverbanks. Across the state, the death toll in recent floods exceeds 100 people. We'll likely continue to see that number rise. The total number of missing people in Kerrville is nearly 3 times as high as initially thought. The Texas Hill Country is famed for its breathtaking scenery, with rivers like the Guadalupe winding through steep hills and rugged valleys. But this region is among the most flash flood prone areas in the country. Joining us now is Dr. Kimberly Meitzen with Texas State University in the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Meitzen.
Thank you for having me on today. Before I get started, I just want to send out my condolences to families, communities, and everybody affected by this flood. It's been absolutely heartbreaking, and I'm really grateful for all the first responders and the really quick actions to help with this event.
And we share that gratitude to the first responders and those condolences as well. This has been so tough for so many people in this area, in the Hill Country. Doctor, this is being classified as a 100-year flood, but by the time all the missing people are found, this could be the second deadliest flood in Texas history. Why is Central Texas known as Flash Flood Alley if this seems to be such a rare occurrence?
So Central Texas is known as Flash Flood Alley for a number of reasons. We have an incredibly steep, hilly terrain. We refer to it as the Hill Country, and that's a key element. We have all of these really steep hills. The bedrock geology of the Hill Country is limestone, and that's a very erodible rock. You can actually scratch it with your fingernails. And the Hill Country is basically shaped by chemical, biological, and physical processes that are eroding this limestone into this the very steep, hilly landscape. And water is one of the most powerful forces that is eroding the Hill Country. So much of what we iconically love about the Hill Country has actually been shaped by running and flowing waters over very long periods of time that are predominantly from rainfall, from events like these. So water is a kind of key signature in terms of actually shaping and carving out and creating the Hill Country. The soils are incredibly thin. They have a lot of rocky outcrops, so there's really minimal and very slow infiltration. And if the amount of rainfall that's coming down exceeds the amount of water that the ground and the landscape can take in, then the rest of that water is just going to flow over the hill slopes as overland runoff. And because this landscape is so highly eroded, it is just covered in a bunch of little tiny streams that most of the time are dry. We call those ephemeral, and they only flow when they're in contact with this running water that's coming from these precipitation events. And so they can accumulate really large amounts of water over very short periods of time. And then that moves through into the river valleys. And the way drainage basins are oriented, they're very, very steep up in the headwaters, and then they become less steep as you move through the basin. So when you have storms that hit the headwater region of a basin, it's the steepest part of the basin, you have the steepest hill slopes, and so it's an odd term, but you're very efficient at moving that water across the landscape. And that's essentially what results in these flash flood events. I've put together a couple graphics here. I'm a geography professor, so I'm used to having some visuals to explain. So we're down here, this light purple is the Guadalupe River Basin, so it gives us a context for where our basin is in the state. This is our precipitation map, and you'll notice these higher areas of blue, because up here in the Hill Country where we have these different air masses that are colliding from dry air in the west and wet air in the moist, and with the Balcones escarpment along the Hill Country, we generate very large precipitation events with these unstable air masses. So you'll notice we have higher precipitation in this area as well. This is a geology map, so we have the coastal plain, and then we come up here into our Edwards and Trinity limestone. So this is that very, very erodible limestone that's carved out predominantly by water. And then we can see that down here in our elevation map. So this is essentially the region we're looking at here. We have incredibly steep relief. And this is where we come up on the Hill Country, and so this is the area that we're looking at with that flash flooding. And this is just a graphic that shows you the elevation gradient of most of these river basins, and I've stretched it in terms of the elevation relative to about the Hill Country. And so we can go from about 3,000 feet in elevation, but up here at the top, it's incredibly steep. So there's a lot of gravity that's moving this water, materials, other sediments on the landscape, and it's incredibly steep. So when these flash floods occur in the upper part of the watershed, they're moving that water much more quickly because of these very, very steep hills and environments. The state is currently in the process with the regional flood planning groups, and there's going to be a lot of solutions that come out of that. So I think listening to recommendations from those groups, investing in those solutions, that'll be a really important way in keeping people safe, minimizing buildings and developments that we have within the floodplain, and working towards providing a lot more warning systems. There's other ways within our community where we can better absorb stormwater runoff. In these particular events, it's an incredible amount of rainfall that's coming, though. So a more important part of that is minimizing building within our floodplain environments, and really trying to provide warning and outreach to individuals in order to remove them from these hazardous risks.